Hey everybody, Arizona State Representative Kevin Volk of Legislative District 17. It's Thursday afternoon. We are already done with legislative work for the week. And in fact, I just got done touring Cal Portland's Rito cement plant here in District 17. I'll show you the famous plant. You've seen it along the highway. I just got a great tour. I'm gonna find someplace that's a little quieter so I can give you this week's recap. All right, I'm away from the noise. I also ate some dinner. Had some chicken that was left over. It was a little dry. Luckily, I had Bub's barbecue mop sauce and base from Bub's Grub Barbecue in the town of Catalina. Recommended, actually saved the meal. First, committees. Wait a second, you might say, for the people who watched last week's recap, all 6 or 7 of you, or more, hopefully, you may remember I said last week was the end of committees. True that it was the last week of multiple committees, plural, but there's always one last remaining special appropriations committee meeting. It's usually a big agenda with a grab bag of different topics. I'm on appropriations, so I was one of the lucky bunch that got to start the day at 10 a.m. in committee. We went until about 1:20 p.m., paused for a short session on the floor, then resumed. We ended up getting out at about 7:30 p.m. We voted on a number of things. I voted yes on a bill to extend first responder family death benefits for those who might not be within a law enforcement department, but died while doing their duty within certain categories. This was inspired by the tragic Flagstaff DPS helicopter crash. The state trooper was covered in this program. The pilot who also died in this accident was not. We continue to grieve their loss, but hopefully it will help the families as much as possible. The governor and Department of Public Safety and Legislature are trying to make sure this gets done as soon as possible. I also voted to put state funding towards the Douglas Port of Entry. This is a modernization effort for which there's $678 million of federal money out there, as long as there's state and local matching fund. Community of Douglas has already done their part. They've put up $20 million, so I think it's appropriate that the state invests. This is going to be big for trade and our economy, especially competing with ports in Texas. We want that trade to flow through here, economic activity, but also border security. 90% of the fentanyl that comes into the United States comes in through the border ports of entry. These ports of entry are really important for national security and to stop the flow of fentanyl. So happy to support that. Finally, I voted to move forward with a proposal to renew Proposition 123. This is the program that for 10 years was putting about $300 million into public education funding. It was allowed to expire last year. Arizona is getting hit really hard by the big federal bill. We've got some really tough decisions this year. We're 48th in the country in per pupil funding for public education. So it's vitally important we protect and grow the amount of education funding. Got to increase teacher pay for all educators, and increase funding in facilities which are woefully underinvested in. And so unfortunately this was voted down, but it's a very important conversation that I think needs to happen this year. Topic of the week. Again, topic of the week continues to be gas prices. For people who are at the pumps, they know gas prices are way up. Wall Street Journal says Arizona has been one of the states with the highest increases and has the highest prices per gallon, over $5 per gallon in many cases. I talked about last week partisan Republicans posturing about Brent crude oil. Well, that's out the window too. The Brent oil spot price, which is the estimated price for oil that is soon to be delivered, the marker just hit $141 per gallon, or excuse me, per barrel. That's the highest level since the 2008 financial crisis. As I was knocking on doors, that topic came up, the topic of the war in Iran, and I spoke to a 5-time combat veteran. No one is questioning how awful the Iranian regime is. The question that I'm hearing is why we're at war, what the plan is, and what are the potential costs to Americans, both in terms of the cost of living and our way of life currently, but also in the cost of American lives and the broader ramifications. Not a state issue, but a federal issue, and one that I'm hearing about. Speaking of Arizona quality of life, too few Arizonans and Americans are planning for retirement. Many of these folks just don't have an easily accessible option to do that. Not planning can lead to a lower quality of life later in life. Overall, it can reduce economic stability for our state and our country. Here's an idea. What if we made sure that every employee, no matter what their job, had access to a retirement system that they could contribute to and plan around? We have the Arizona State Retirement System, and if we can figure out the details, we would be able to allow employers, small and large, big businesses, small businesses, to offer this to their employees. I have to give credit to my colleague, Representative Austin, for this idea, which was born out of experience working a number of jobs that required a lot of hard work but did not offer a retirement plan. Still the case that very, very few Democratic bills are being heard. So again, we had to use a procedural motion called a Strike Everything Amendment. This is where you propose a bill as an amendment to another bill. While the Strike Everything Amendment was heard and voted on, Republicans voted to kill it on a party line basis. We are going to continue to introduce all of our proposals on attacking the cost of living from every angle: groceries, utilities, retirement. We're going to do that however we can. Wanted to follow up on the tour I had today at Cal Portland Rito cement plant. This is a plant that produces about 1.15 million tons of cement. That's almost 1.5% of our entire United States domestic production. That's more than a third of our Arizona domestic production. It's right here in Legislative District 17. It was a great experience to walk through the plant, get to see the process. This is a huge industrial investment that was made back in 1949, and looking to find out more about the industries that are the underpinning of the Arizona economy, and that was a great experience. What's next? Next week, we've heard that we've got Monday off for some reason. We're starting to hear rumors that we might start meeting for 1 day per week going forward. You may know the Republican-led Congress has currently declared a recess. Going in 1 day per week does not allow enough time off to go to Disneyland or Scotland like we're seeing Republican members of Congress go on vacation, but it's still a break, it's still a recess in my book. Meanwhile, we still don't know what's going to happen with the budget negotiations. Last year, Republicans waited until the last minute. Of course, it was annoying for those of us in the legislature, but it was really impactful for the healthcare providers, businesses, individuals, and families in Arizona who depend on some of these programs and need to know what level of support they can count on, or what level of investment to make to have that certainty. So I'm really hoping we can get through the remaining bills. I'm hoping we can meet all the work days, get through all those bills, and get to good faith bipartisan negotiations on the budget as soon as possible. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and happy Easter and happy Passover to those who celebrate.